Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to WirisQuizzes 4.4 webinar. Today we will show you our new graph features for statistics. Stick with us until the end because we will have an exclusive gift. Today's webinar will be hosted by myself, Carolina. I'm WirisQuizzes product manager, and with Jordi. Probably most of you know Jordi already, our customer success specialist. Jordi, do you want to say something?
Hi everyone, nice to meet you.
To start off this webinar, we would like to ask you a quick question using menti.com. So if you go to www.menti.com and you insert this code 81975585, you'll be asked this question on have you already used our new statistical graph features? So we would like to know if the statistical features are new to you, if you're aware of this new release, if you had already tried making quizzes with these questions. Your feedback is really important. So if you can take some time to go to www.menti.com, that would be great. So I see that we already have 11 people on menti.com. That's great. I see that most of you have not tried it yet. So that's great. Today we're going to learn more about these features. But also some of you have tried it a little bit already. So that's also good. Cool. So great. I feel like today's webinar can help you in how to use these graph features, these new features that we have. So let's continue. What are these new features that we're talking about when we mention graph features for statistics? So as you know before, we had only the short answer question type for equations, text, and also graph. But this graph was only standard graph, so mainly for geometry mathematics. But we realized, and also some of you asked, that you would like to have specific graphs for statistics, and here they are. So right now we are offering statistical graphs. So in this case, bar charts. So for bar charts, you're able to add bars, stacks, change the orientation of the bar charts from vertical to horizontal, and also change the height of each bar. The colors of the stacks and the bars are also customizable. And this is now available on the short answer type inside the graph typology. We also enabled line charts. So in the line charts, the procedure is very similar. You can add points and lines to your charts, change also the orientation from vertical to horizontal, change the heights of each point, which affects the heights of the lines, and also customize the colors of the points and the lines. And finally, we also offer at the moment pie charts. So with the pie charts, you're able to create multiple sections, label these sections, change the colors of the sections, view the pie chart either in 2D or 3D dimensions. And yes, so this was a feature highly requested, graphs for statistics, and these three types of charts are now available. So how do we believe that these new features can help you? So at the moment, we were offering short answer questions, which were open answer. And we knew that it was also needed to do open answer for statistics. We also wanted the students to be able to interact with these statistical graphs. So we didn't want these graphs to be static. So in this case, the graphs are dynamic and the student can play with the graphs and reply as an open answer to statistical questions based on bar charts, pie charts, and line charts. And finally, we also wanted these graphs to provide what WirisQuizzes always provides, so automatic grading and instant feedback. So if you're using these three specific graphs, we guarantee that you will be able to have automatic grading and instant feedback even for graphical statistics. So now I ask Jordi to show us a little bit more about these new features with a live demo. So I'll pass the word to Jordi.
Thank you, Carolina, and nice to see all of you again.
I think you're on mute, Jordi. Is that possible?
Let me check.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Was I was saying is I'm going to share my screen to show you several questions we created regarding statistical graph questions and the three graphs we have developed from the moment. And I will do it from like if I was a student that is attempting a test created by a teacher with WirisQuizzes. The first question I'm going to show you is regarding the bar chart. Here we have a very simple question where we are giving the students a table with some data set and we ask them to modify a bar chart that we give them to fit the values that are present in the statement. Thus, the student has to modify this length to fit wherever we have in the question statement, and the system will automatically check where this answer is equal to the correct one or not. So if we fit it to what we expect, then finish at the end of the test, we will check whether we accepted, and the system can also give the corresponding feedback if we want to explain how these values have to be calculated. It's important to remark that for the moment, these graphics cannot be randomized. It's something that we have in mind for the future, but we cannot give random values here as we can do with the normal question types. So each student will have different values. Here, for the moment, these values are static. The students can modify these the lengths of the graph, but all of them will have the same values. So just to make sure that everyone is okay with it, it's the first iteration of the feature. So for the moment, it's only possible to do the graphs static. And what is also possible is to do more complex graphs. Like here, we have two bars because we are asking for the amount of drink that has been sold in a coffee bar. The students have two values for each day, so they have to modify the graph as we have seen before accordingly, taking into account there are two values. Just to show you that we can make questions more complex, so it's not only a single bar chart, we can modify this one to make it more complex. And at the end of the demo, I will show you also how it's going to be performed as teacher and all the options that we have. So for the moment, that's what we wanted to show regarding bar charts. The next one, regarding line charts, the idea is the same, to provide the students with some initial values. Here we have the number of fans of an artist and the number of downloads of a single that he published. And the same way as we have seen before, the student will need to modify this line chart to fit the requirements of the statement. That's interactive. And here we could also make the student add some points or add some lines. We have defined the initial content to make the things easier for the students, but here we could have added a third parameter, so the student needs to add not a group of points, add another line. So with the other line, the student can add the third parameter, or how many parameters as we want, and how many steps points as we want. So these graphics are also customizable, and the students can add this kind of information. Well, that shouldn't have happened, but yeah, maybe I didn't save it properly. Let's see from here. Yeah, here it's better. Okay, the graph that was missing is the pie chart. Here, we wanted to show you how we can do two separate questions, one numerical and one regarding statistical graphs, to merge these questions. Here, for example, we can do the first question where we give the results of a query of whatever, where every employees of a company explain which transport used to go to the work, and the students will need to define here how many of them is of each transport, and a second question where with these values the student will need to create the pie chart. So it's a more complete question set where we ask the students to do both. Here, if we remember, we needed to modify according to the first question. The idea is to put it together in the same page of the quiz, so the student has the question above and he can see how many people catches the train or the bus or wherever. But we can do these kind of things that put together some numeric questions together with these graphical statistical questions. And finally, before we end the webinar, well, Carolina has to explain some new features that we are planning from the future, but before finishing this part regarding graphical charts, I would like to show you how is it performed from the teacher's point of view. Let's wait until it charges, but the idea is very similar to the old graphic questions. In previous versions, these options weren't available. We only had the standard version you may be more familiar with it, to define geometrical things or algebraic expressions. And now we have the three options. The bar chart, that's what we have seen first. We can define whether it's horizontal or vertical. We can stack or unstack bars. First, I need to define more than one, but we can stack or unstack. We can add more packs. We can add the groups of bars, how many as we want. And we can define those information as the initial content. We can choose what we want to provide the students at the end of the exam, of the question. So they will work from this, or we can also define with what is the correct answer. As always, we have a validation options space to define which things we want to check and to define a tolerance. For example, if the question we have seen before regarding the line chart, we were talking about very big numbers. So if the point of the line wasn't exactly at the same point, we may be interested in accepting though. So we can also define some tolerance to be more adaptive. But the idea is the same as the other questions, but with these new options in the toolbar. The line chart is the same. We can add more points, we can add more lines, and we can add some text through the graph. And in the pie chart, the same. We can also define that three-dimensional graph. We can add more parts of the pie. And well, that's it. So that should be all for my part. I don't know if, Carolina, I pass the word to you again, and we wait the questions until the end, or how do you want to?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordi. Yes, so if you have any questions, feel free to share them in the Q&A box, preguntas y respuestas. That's very close to the chat button, and we can answer them at the end. I just have 2 more slides on another feature that we also launched with the 4.4. I'll share my screen again. So an extra new feature that we also launched with the 4.4 release was uploading images to the standard graph. So this is not yet available for the statistical graphs, for the bar charts, line charts, and pie charts. It's only for the standard graph, but now you'll be able to add images as a background or additional elements. So here, for example, you see that we added the WirisQuizzes logo in case you want to add the logo of your university, school to each single graph exercise. And also you can add extra elements to make the exercises more fun and dynamic to your students. We would also like to tell you that a new release is coming. So for 0.5, we will also have a webinar that will follow up this release. We expect to release it in April 2022, so very, very soon. The goal of this release is to make the WirisQuizzes Studio with a new look, a better user experience, and better performance. So we know that sometimes the studio is running a bit slow, especially on some environments. So we want to also fix this with this release. So I believe now maybe we can take a look at the questions if you think it's a good time, Jordi. And yeah, so feel free to ask any question if you have on how to create these questions, maybe on the future releases that we can do, or if you have any feedback for us. I think this is a good moment to share. I'll go back to the Zoom. No, I believe this time we don't have any questions. I don't know, Jordi, if you have any additional comments.
No.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you very much for assisting this webinar. As I said before, we will do another webinar for the future release, so 4.5, and hopefully we can show you the new design and user experience of the studio. As we promised, we said that there would be a gift, a STEM collection. So all the questions that Jordi provided during this webinar will be available on this WeTransfer link, which we will share in the chat in a few seconds. We warn you that this link will only be available for the next 7 days. And as always, we tell you that any question, any feedback, or any doubt, you can contact us at support@Wiris, and we're very happy to reply as fast as possible. So thank you so much for being with us today, and see you soon after the April release.